another episode of Power Move Makers. This series was created with a simple goal in mind: to bring to the table high-level executives, successful entrepreneurs, and just all-around inspiring human beings. Not just focusing on their success, but really shining a spotlight on the road they traveled to get there. Now, this week's guest, he's a name you know, but I needed to bring him on our show because this man is a modern day scribe. Like back in the days, they had people who wrote history just so that future generations can see what it was like to live back then. And for us coming up in this hip hop world, he literally has shot videos for everybody. I look at his video and his works of art, and I can see my entire childhood. Writer, producer, video director, film director. He has done it all. Please welcome to this week's Power Move Maker series, Mr. Benny Boone. Benny, what up?
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. You got me looking around like, who he talking about? Like,
I couldn't even get it all in.
Who's that?
I've been wanting to get you on the show for so long because people know your name, but they might not know your face, and they need to know your body of work is incredible.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I just feel blessed, first of all. And I came at the right time. Timing is everything. And I think just my love for hip hop, I started off as an artist, and that transcended into me directing and stuff like that. But just my love for the art, man, just kept me going. And the late 90s, early 2000s was that time and that hotbed of music videos and video directors and artists and stuff. And just being around that, being here in New York and being around it was just incredible,
Benny, and I want to educate people. So I'm going to do something that I don't normally do. I'm literally going to read from a piece of paper because I could not get all of your accolades. And for anybody who is watching this, you need to understand who it is that we're talking to today. You have directed videos for Diddy, I Need a Girl 1 and 2, Nicki Minaj, Bees in the Trap. I can go days for days. Nelly, Nas, Uchi Wally, Meek Mills, I'm a Boss, Ja Rule, Little Kim, G Dep, Sierra, Goodies. I don't even, 50 Cent, Busta Rhymes, Robin Thicke.
Yeah, wow.
I don't know where to begin and to end. And, then you have every director seems like they have that special someone.
Mm-hmm.
You directed 14 videos at least for Keisha Cole.
Yeah, that's my homie right there.
Oh my, and this is not to mention movies. It's not to mention television.
Mm-hmm.
You are the real deal. So, I know I have you for a limited amount of time, so let's get right into it.
Mm-hmm.
You're from Philly. Everybody, I always thought you was from New York.
Everybody thought I was from. And the funny thing is, between Queens and Brooklyn, I was claimed. No, he from Brooklyn. Didn't he go? No, he from Queens. Like, no. I'm born and raised in West Philadelphia. Born and raised, same high school as Will Smith, Overbrook High School. It's funny because when I got here, it was like I immediately adapted to what was going on. So everybody kind of thought I was from one of the boroughs, yo.
Yeah, I never ever knew you were from Philly. So you go to Temple.
Mm-hmm.
What do you major in?
I majored in film. I was a double major in radio, TV, and film, and African American studies. So it was like sociology and communications double major with a concentration in African American studies. Yeah.
Got you. So this film thing, it's been in your life going way back. When did you know you wanted to be in film?
Well, it's interesting. When I was a little kid, I'm sorry, I got to keep doing this. I apologize for, I'm the director, but the lighting keeps going out, right? That's the irony of what we're doing right now. When I was a little kid, and we the same age, so you understand it's like, we had that one television that was in our room and then the one television that was in the living room that everybody watched. And so I always used to wonder, how come like, for example, the news look different than a TV show or a movie of the week or something like that? Why did the A-Team look different than Facts of Life? And why the new? So early on, I always questioned why things on television look different. And then as I got older, I realized, okay, some was shot on a video format, some was shot on film. And I started to educate myself. This was really in high school. And, we didn't have access to cameras and that kind of thing, but I just, looked it up and was trying to educate myself. And then by the time I got to college, it was pretty clear what I wanted to do, what I wanted to major in.
So how do you go from Philly to New York? Was it something in particular? Was you just like, I have to get out of Philadelphia if I'm trying to take my career to the next level?
It was that, a couple things happened at the same time. I was coming to New York a lot. My frat brothers, I'm an alpha. I pledged Spring '91, and I pledged solo. So I'll be bragging.
Listen, I'm not that happy with that A5A thing, but I'm gonna give it. Going solo is not easy. So I give you that.
It was tough. And a funny anecdote is that Floyd, Heb's brother. Floyd, he's a Sigma. Right. So he would come because my dean and the dean of the Sigma line were roommates in the same apartment. And so when I was online and the Sigmas from Spring '91 from my school, it was 5 of them. So we would be all in the same apartment. I was upstairs, they was downstairs, and Heb's brother would come to see them because his cousin was the dean. And it was just always amazing because I was online, but I was like, yo, this is Heavy D's brother, right? And he would make me greet him all the time and stuff like that. It was crazy. But yeah, so I was very tight with a lot of the bros from New York, and like New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia is a very like tight-knit circle. And so when I graduated, I was, I wanted to get into the business. A friend of mine who went to Temple was working for Spike Lee. So I came up here and I stayed in like one of my frat brothers' couches for like 4 months. Eventually got my own apartment, and it just kind of started from there. You know what I mean? It was a lot of help. I will say this, like when you in that brotherhood and you understand it's that fraternity, like it's a real thing. When you come through the right way and you build those bonds, it's like these are real brothers. Like they gonna look out for you the way a real family member will, especially if they see that you got that drive and determination. So that really helped me a lot,
My biological brother, he recently pledged Alpha. He's one of your brothers.
Oh, get out.
And he did it late in life. So he did it through the grad chapter. Uh-huh. But what you're saying, people don't understand, like that brother, when you come up the right way, like me and my Sigma brothers, that's family. It's not just, that is not something that we did and we left it on that college campus. No. These are, it's family for me. So I totally get it. Sticking to brotherhood, and you also spoke about timing earlier. Mm-hmm. Like your timing for what you do, directing, and it came along at the time that hip hop was in its golden era. But you have a brotherhood. When I think of you, I can't help but think of Hype
and X.
Like,
yeah, man.
How did you even get in that circle?
So it's
and for anybody who doesn't, might not be familiar.
Yeah.
Please explain.
So let me just explain this. So Hype Williams is, I would say, the architect of modern music videos, period. Not just hip hop. Not just we're not going to box him in and say he was Hype is the architect of the modern music video. He was the one that made the label say, oh, if I want this artist to be successful, I need to spend $1 million. Regardless. And it started in hip hop because you and I know, but prior to that, there was not a lot of money, relatively not a lot of money being spent on rock and roll music videos. You would get a few. I mean, Michael Jackson is a complete exception to the rule. But other than that, an artist would come out, they would spend a decent amount of money. Hype made it so that hip hop artists were at above the level of rap artists. I mean, of rock artists and country artists and pop artists. He wanted to make sure that the visual of hip hop music just was way bigger than anything else. And that went hand in hand with what Bad Boy was doing, what Death Row was doing at the time. Like those two labels with Pac and Snoop and all that and Big, and it all came at the same time, right? So I was doing a commercial. I don't know if you remember, Chris Rock did these 1-800-COLLECT commercials.
I do.
So I was like a PA on the commercial, and it happened to be being produced out of Big Dog's office. So I'd never met Hype before, and I remember going up there, and we were like boxing up some stuff, like walkie-talkies or something for the shoot the next day. And he came in, and I just introduced myself. I said, "Hey, how you doing? My name is Benny. I'm working on this commercial over here, and, man, I would love to, get on your crew one day and work on the set." And he was like, "Okay." And he walked away. He said, "Okay," and walked away. And I didn't take it no kind of way, because I was like, I'm just introducing myself and I'm here. The next week, they had a job, and it was R. Kelly's Gotham City remix video. And they said, "Hey, we need some PAs to come on. It's going to be long hours." And I was the first one there. I said, "I'm there." And that's kind of how that got started. And Hype saw me like really grinding. I would be in the office when we weren't shooting anything, and I would be at Big Dog. I'm like, does anybody need anything? I was also interning at Def Jam at the time. So I was like really like going, like, anybody needs something, I'm here, make a run, or whatever. And it wasn't about money. It was about me trying to, ascend myself, get higher. And I think part of that, though, back to what we were saying, the pledging aspect helped me with that, because you understand what humility gets you, and being humble and being able to be a servant, being in service, I should say, and being in service and what that gets you. So then, I was in lockstep with him in terms of PAing and then eventually becoming like a second AD for under him, and Mike Ellis, who was the AD, the first AD. And then this kid would come from Toronto, man. He would have his head wrapped in a towel. We didn't know if he had dreads or not what. And he would just be sitting in the office just drawing. And then all of a sudden, him and Hype would be back in their own little corner, and Hype is telling him stuff, and he's drawing it, and we look at him like, who is this kid? And it's like, when I say kid, it's like I probably got X by maybe 8 years or something like that. And so he would come in, and he wouldn't really talk to anybody. He was like to himself. And then one day he went away. He went home to Toronto, and he comes back, and he shows us this music video with Cardinal Officio. And the whole office was stuck. It was like, "You directed this?" He said, "Yeah." We like, "When?" Like, how? He said, "I went home and Cardinal and this and the thing." From there, I was like, "This is the next guy. I know I want to direct, but I'm not ready yet. I'm whatever I got to do to help him get it going, I'm going to do." Again, I was in that service mind, right? Like I knew that the timing wasn't right for me yet. So eventually we I sort of branched away from Hype and then became X's first AD. And that's really where that building happened. Hype was always with us, but it was me and X. So all those early jobs he did, I was right with him. Like, the DMX, me and him were on the phone talking about when X passed, the What's My Name video. And we had deep conversations about it and how incredible X was, because we were both there for Get At Me Dog, and we saw the emergence of X, and we were also at Big Dog when he was doing Belly. So we saw this happening. And so I reminded him of a couple of things about that video, and he was like, "Yo, that was like when he told the world, I'm going to do it my way, and whoever's with me is with me. And if you're not with me, then that's it." And I told him, "Bro, I'm with you. Like, what we going to do? Let's take over the world. You Batman, I'm Robin, and that's cool with me." That was cool for me right there, because I was also learning. about the craft a little more, you know?
To all my movers, if you love educational and inspirational content just like this, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. But most important, if you know anybody making power moves just like you, share it. Now back to the video. I love where you're going with this, because I try to use this platform to teach, to educate, to inspire, to motivate. And I need to stop here for a second, because you are Benny Boom. People see you today. They know your accolades. If they don't know the face, they know your body of work. They see you now. But what people need to listen to what you said. You came in, well, number one, you saw hype and you took it upon yourself. Let me capture this moment. I might not get this opportunity again.
Why not, right?
Hey, my name is Benny Boom. I would love to work with you one day. So that's number one. Number two, when you do start working with him, it's on the ground. You're a PA. At the same time, you said, I'm interning at Def Jam, which I didn't even know.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
But before you can get to your level, you have to start somewhere. Everybody wants to be a boss. Everybody wants to jump out the window and run the show from day one. But I love what you said. You want to be a director.
Yeah.
You obviously, you've gone on to be a director. But you saw talent in someone else. And you said, I'm not ready. Let me help this person get to where they're trying to go. And I can learn more, I can get more experience, and when I'm prepared, I can get out there on my own. And I think that is such great gems that you just dropped for anybody who is listening to this. You gotta go through the steps.
You got to go through the steps.
You got to go through the steps.
And the interesting thing is, we can look back now, it's been over 20 years, and we could see that hype was greatness and X was greatness, but we didn't know that at the time. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to jump on board with something when it's already great. But to look at something and go, I'm doing it because I believe that it will be great, that's different. Because it's as great as hype was at the time, like, you know, like I at one point I was driving hype around, right? And I remember he had went for a meeting, and I'm in the truck. And in the car he had all these cassette tapes, right? So I see in the tapes and I'm looking, and every tape, and I might be telling too much, but every tape, and you already know this, he was getting paper just to listen to the music. Just to listen to the music, the labels were paying him. And so I looked at that, man, I'm like, yo, this a black man from Queens telling these labels like, yo, y'all not just gonna stick us up and take from us without paying. Like, you gotta pay. And it wasn't about the artist, it was about the labels, because he was going to do the video. If he was taking the music, he was going to do the video. Because we know, you and I know, there's not a question. If he's having a conversation, he wants to do it. But I learned from that. I learned from that the business aspect of how you value yourself in the business aspects, right? So you keep that in the back of your mind. And then the creative part is, it's what has to happen is the creative and the business have to line up, and that's where the success comes from. And when you have the creative but bad business sense, then you see kind of what happens. Or if you have great business sense and not the creative, you know, it's also a different direction as well. And I just feel like, man, I feel blessed to have had that time with those two guys in particular, because I learned so much from both of them, but completely different things from both of them. And to this day, you know, I talk to X all the time. I talk to Hype every now and then. I ran into him in Atlanta. And, you know, he's the same guy then. He's not that talkative. He's very like, you know, thinking and keeping to himself. But, you know, my thing is, it's funny because I always want to be like, yo, are you proud of what I'm doing? Like, that's what I got, you know, because it's like, you know, it's almost like your dad and you want to do all this stuff and you want to get that, you know, get him to say, man, I see what you're doing. Like, I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? Even at this level, everybody needs that one person that like, stamps them, you know?
You said some great things. You said some great things. You know, and this is, again, great gems. I think about myself in coming up in the bad boy system.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know at the time we were making history. We had no idea. And when you get into something for love, when you get into something for the purest of reasons, the history, the money, the accolades, it all comes. Mm-hmm. It all comes. So even as I'm listening to you and you're just like, yo, I didn't know, you know, we didn't know at the time we were really making history like you guys did. And I totally understand what you're saying, like the validation part.
Right.
You know,
it's funny what you say, because I remember Bad Boy had the office on 21st, what was it, 21st? 19th Street.
Yep.
And so, and that was the smaller office.
Very small.
And small. But I just remember like thinking to myself, and we would go up there. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, his whole thing was to be better than Andre, than
Andre and Def Jam. We were trying to kick the hole in Def Jam's back every chance we got.
Right. And so think about that. Like, there wasn't this, like, it was a strive for greatness, but there was something that you were trying to be greater than.
Yep.
Right. And so when you look at that and you go, you know, Uptown, that's, I had a complete brain thing, but so Uptown, so you leave Uptown, they say, yo, Russell's killing it, Andre's killing it, the two guys that I look up to the most killing it, I got to start my own thing and I got to kill it the way that they would expect me to kill it if I'm not leaning on them. It's Absolutely. That motivation that I used for myself when I stepped out. Here's the crazy story. So me, Hype, X, we all in Trinidad during Big Pimpin'. And we leave Trinidad. We were there for like 4 days or 5 days or something. We leave Trinidad and we had to shoot Pimp C's part in Miami because he couldn't travel. He couldn't leave the country. So we had to shoot his part in Miami. So we're on the beach, and I'll never forget this. And Hype goes to me. He says, yo, when you gonna quit? I was like, quit what? And by this time, I was first AD, right? Which means the first assistant director, which means I'm like right next to him, setting the whole scene up, calling all the shots for him, making sure everything is together. I said, what do you mean? He said, I know you want to direct, so what you waiting on?
Wow.
And I was like, I didn't expect that. We sitting there waiting for Jay to come out and, you know, to the thing, and we set up the shot. And in the middle of that, he just asked me that. He said, yo, this is the last job that you're going to be on with me. I don't want you on no more jobs. You got to go do your own thing.
Oh,
crazy.
Wow.
Yep, crazy. So I was like, man, and he was serious. He was serious because now he knew that I was ready. You feel me? So he had to push me out of the nest, like, yo. And at first I looked at it like, yo, he can't be serious right now. But he was very serious that it was time for me to be out on my own and start my own thing. So that was in February of 2000. And then July of 2000, I direct my first video, which was Wild Out 2K. You know, so I don't know if I would channel live in Wild Out 2K. So I don't know. I was about to ask
that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know if I would have done that had I not been pushed out of Big Dog. You know what I mean? Like, had I not been, and pushed out is the right word, because it was like, yo, how long are you going to stay under my wing? Like, you got to go do whatever it is you're going to go do. Because I believe in you. But he never said, I believe in you, or I think you're great. He was like, yo, it's just his way. Like, yo, you got to go. I can't hire you no more. You got to go do whatever it is you're going to go do.
And that, my friend, is the biggest compliment he can give you.
Yeah.
Even sometimes with our own biological children.
Yeah.
Being at home is comfortable.
It is.
They it's free room and board.
Right.
Mama is gonna always have food in the refrigerator. Routine. And sometimes, in order for you to grow, in order for you to reach your potential, in order for you to achieve your destiny, your parents it's time to leave. It's time for you to get out the nest. And that's done out of love. So I love hearing that story because you can tell that Hype really loved you and respected.
Oh yeah, no question. But it was his way. It was the way. It was the only way he could have done it. It's the only way he could have done it.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, and you just answered it. What was your first video? But additionally, what was the first video that blew? What was the one that, okay, y'all know me from working with Director X. You know me from working with Hype. Yeah. But Benny Boom. Yeah. I'm here now.
Yeah. The first video was Wild Out 2K with Channel Live, which I'm on the album.
Correct.
The Flavor Unit. That's my crew. Shout out to Hawk. Shout out to Tuffy. That was the first music video. And it's fun. The funny story is that Q-Tip was supposed to direct that video. And that's who, it was Flavor Unit Records. So it was Latifah and Shakim. And that's who was supposed to do it. And they said, nah, we want our man to do it. And he was like, who's your man? It's like, this kid ain't never directed that before. We supposed to give him $100,000 to direct the video? Nah. So I had to I remember writing the treatment up, getting it all perfect and everything and talking and being on the phone. And they, Hawk and Tough really, they pushed the line. They said, yo, if he ain't doing it, we not coming.
That's dope.
Which was, we don't even have enough time to talk about that relationship. You know what I mean? It was just incredible for him to do it. And I had so much support. You know what I mean? I had to support our unit of friends, Dwight. Everybody was like, yo, so everybody came by the house that day. We shot it in the place in our apartment where we lived and around the area in Brooklyn. So everybody came through to show support at some point in time. It's like, yo, this is your first video. You're going to kill it. You're going to be big. And this, and I'm like, I'm just trying to get through the day. You know what I mean? But the first video to blow was probably Uchi Wally. That was, Uchi Wally. And that was my third video. And it was, it's funny. I had developed pretty cool relationship with Nas over the years from the Hype world. Actually the first video that I was the AD for was the New York portion of Hate Me Now, because the first AD, Mike Ellis, had broken his leg right before it was time to come to set. And he called me and he said, yo, I need you to step up. I can't come. I'm sorry, once. He said, I can't come. I need you to step up. So if you remember the video, it's the portion with the flames in the street.
Yep.
And Diddy on the on the store. And stuff like, oh, he was there. So you remember it was Freaky Ty's funeral that night. Freaky Ty, who had gotten murdered. We were on Merrick Boulevard, and all these guys kept driving by. And while Puff and Nas was on the store, they kept saying like crazy stuff, right? Like, for whatever reason, they felt like they shouldn't have been shooting a video. They should have been down the street at the funeral, right? So at one point, some cats from Queens that Nas knew, they wasn't happy that it was all going down. And he comes down and he confronts them. And I don't want to say this confronting like, yo, it's going to be a fight. But he didn't go in his trailer. He came down and said, what's good? He says, yo, I'm working right now. I can't leave what I'm doing. Ty and Lost, but they would understand what this is. He said, I already talked to everybody. I already talked to Chiefs. They know what the love is. It just happened to be on the same day. So he finished that conversation, and when he turned around, I was standing right there with him, right? So he looked at me like, okay, I mean, his people was there, but I was there too. And it wasn't like, let me clear this up. It wasn't about a fight or anything like that. But you understand in that time, man, it was like we all we had.
Yep.
You know? And I'm like, Nas, like, hey, I wasn't gonna let this interrupt my set. So let me be here to make sure that this was being handled the way that it should be handled. So he saw that. And so that whole day, those 2 days, and you know, that video, you remember, was a lot of drama afterwards or what have you. But that he remembered that whole thing. So when Uchiwali came up and he knew and he found out I was directing, the record label Columbia told him that I was directing now, and he was like, "Oh, that's son. Oh, that's hype, man. So, oh, word, that's what's up. Let him write for it." And then I went up to Columbia, and they played the record for me, and I wrote the treatment, and we were shooting in Miami like a week later. So that was. You know,
let me ask you something. For anybody who's looking to get into your world, how much of a collaborative effort is directing? You know,
it's completely collaborative.
Really?
So this is the thing about directing. You have to, you have a vision, a singular vision that requires multiple moving parts for it to come to life. So imagine you're an artist and you paint, but you draw first and then you paint. So you have the easel, which holds the board, have that up, then you draw it, and then you paint it. So all those pieces, without all those pieces, nobody knows what your vision is. So when you're directing, you have the director of photography, you have the production designer, you have the actors, you have the costume designer. All these pieces and all these elements are part of bringing your singular vision to life, right? So that's the difference between like film and TV directing or even music videos to, let's say, a one-man play on Broadway or off-Broadway or something like that, where the light is on and it's just you in the dialogue talking, or let's say a comedian, when the comedian is at the mic and he's speaking to someone. So the director's job is to make everybody understand what it is he's thinking. So for example, on a TV show, right? When you come on a TV show, you're pretty much a guest, because a lot of times the actors have been together and they're on the show. You come in and you do an episode or you do 2 episodes or what have you. You're the guest, but they want to see what you're going to bring. So you might walk into a room, let's say it's a home of the main character, and they've sat in this couch 1,000 times. They've eaten at the kitchen before. They've watched it. What are you going to do different that they haven't seen before? So that's always working. And the moment you can do something a little different that works, you got them. You got them. And that happens, you know, sometimes it doesn't happen right away. It might take it takes like 8 days to shoot a show. It might take 2 days or what have you. But once the actors know, he knows what he's doing. He's coming in here thinking. He's not just he's painting outside the line, like he's trying to do something different. And the DP, who's your cinematographer, once that person realizes that you know what you want, I want the camera here, give me a 50 millimeter lens, I want to be like this. You know, when they talk and stand up, I want to move with them. When they know that you can do that, then you got them. But it's when you can't articulate your vision properly, that's when it becomes difficult. You know, so any of these people that are coming up, it's not just about buying a camera and running around, and that's the start. But you have to work this craft, you know, talking to an actor and having an actor, say the lines the way you need him to say it and move when they say it. Or, you know, sometimes an actor may say, well, I don't think I should be walking when I'm saying this. You're like, you know what? All right, let's try it your way. Let's see what it looks like. And then I swear to God, 9 times out of 10, instinctually, they might start moving. So when the scene is over, I'm like, you know, you just walk. That's what I was trying to convey to you, you know? So there's like little subtle things you got to do. And I've learned that over time. You know, it just didn't happen right away. You know, it comes, you know, there's certain confidence that has to happen for you to be able to speak to like the actors and the cinematographers and the production designers about how you want to see stuff, you know?
You know, it's interesting, because you framed it up nicely. You're kind of walking into their house, especially if you're doing a sitcom. They have been on set a million times. You are the guest.
Yeah.
I got another question along those lines, because as you were talking, it really seemed as though you're coming in and you're bringing your expertise to the table, but it's also your job to, just as much as it's their job to bring the best of their talent, you have to bring the best of their talent out of them. Yeah. And that kind of feels like where you get the respect. Like, I'm gonna do something a little bit different. And when they say, you know, I never thought of it that way, I never did it that, but it brought my talent out.
Right.
Do you guys go into movies, film, sitcoms, television, and look for that one or two actors that I just want to work with this guy? Or
I mean, it's interesting you say that. So being from Philly, there's a few different actors that I'm like, yo, I gotta work. Will Smith is one I haven't worked with yet, funny enough, and then Kevin Bacon. So Kevin Bacon, I went to, when I was in elementary and junior high school, I went to a magnet school. And for people that don't know, magnet schools are they're like private schools, but public private schools. So basically you have to test to go in. And what they did was take kids from all over the city that had a higher IQ and tested high on tests and stuff, brought them into one school and just elevated all the learning. So like if you were in the 5th grade, you were learning at a 6th and 7th grade work. That's kind of how the school was. So Masterman, this school's called Masterman. So Kevin Bacon also went to that school years and years and years before I did, right? So his name was always a name that we knew as a graduate of Masterman Elementary and Masterman Junior High School. So I recently just did 2 episodes of City on the Hill on Showtime.
I love it.
So thank you, man. And so the biggest thing for me was, yo, this is Kevin Bacon. Like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Like I'm 1 degree away now. I ain't, how am I going to tell this guy how to act? Like that's real. Like I really, like I'm not even going to front. Like the first day I had him, I think in the second scene on the first day. And I just had to I had to put the blinders on and say to myself, dog, you directed Nicki Minaj, you directed, 50 Cent, you directed P. Diddy, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it don't come tougher than that. Like, that's the school, and sidebar, Bad Boy is the school, Alpha is the school for the better making of men. Well, Bad Boy is the school for the better making of directors, because you got Hype, Paul Hunter, Dave Myers, myself, X, Chris Robinson, like Darren Grant, Billy, like you went through Diddy school of directing, you somebody. Like, if he used you multiple times. So I had to draw on all of that stuff to sort of help me figure out, okay, this is how I'm gonna do it. And just hold on, I'm sorry. And just totally not be worried by anything. And it's the one thing you got to remind yourself, and this is another conversation that you and I had earlier. It's like once you decide in your life that you have faith in God and you have given yourself over to Christ or to God, you go, and there is nothing that you can't. It might take you 5 minutes. You might have to walk away for 5 minutes and pray or think about what's going on. But if you've already resigned yourself to the fact that you're not in control and that you're supposed to be, if you're in a place and in a position, you're supposed to be there. So once I was able to do that, then I was able to do my job. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, you this kid from Southwest Philly, West Philly that came up, and you're not supposed to be directing Kevin Bacon on a Showtime TV show or anything like that. Yes, I am.
There you go. Talk that talk, Benny.
I am, because a while ago I said, you know what? I realized that I don't control the narrative. He has control. So I have to, wait and do things at his behest and at his timing. And that's why I was talking about earlier with timing. The timing was it was incredible because we did a battle like like Versus has the Versus thing where they had a thing called this thing called Action Live series that directors got together and did battles and stuff like that during the COVID time, and I did one with Eve Rivera. So Eve reminded me a lot of how I was when I was coming up, and I felt it was important to do it with somebody that was newer on the landscape than I was, just to challenge myself and see who it is. And so I remember saying to him during that thing, I was like, man, I said, I'm glad I came out when I did because this is too many of y'all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, God's timing is right. He's like, I need you to come right now when this is, because there's so many options for directors, especially in the music video thing right now. It's like, it's too many options. And I'm like, man, I don't know how, where my career would have been. And what so my timing was right, but that was God's timing, So you have to. It's interesting. It takes you all these years to look back on those moments and go, oh, that was God. Like that was God right there. Oh man, that was God. That wasn't. That was.
Yeah, but let me ask. There are these moments in all of our lives, right? And I'm sure you've had it. It's interesting because I walk in my own skin. Mm-hmm. I know Shawn better than anybody else knows Shawn. And I just look at me as a regular guy who worked hard and I have these different chapters in my life.
Right.
Then people will come up now and what up, OG? And people will tell me these different parts of my life.
Right.
And how do you even know that?
Right.
And then I have to stop and think and be like, yo, I was really part of some special moments.
Special moments.
Have you, when did it dawn on you? Can you remember somewhere in your career where, because there's so many names you work with.
Yeah.
Even before you got to a Kevin Bacon.
Right.
Or maybe even after the Kevin, is there a part of your life where you stopped and have just moment of clarity, for lack of a better way to say it, where you're like, damn, it's me, Benny,
right.
from West Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've had those, the unfortunate thing is when people pass, you kind of reflect on them and it brings you back to other moments. And the one moment that always stands out to me, and I was on the set. I do the show All American as well. I've directed on there, and I was talking to the actors, and I call them kids because they young, younger cats. And so the main actor is actually British, and when I first got there, I didn't know he was British until 2 weeks into shooting. The whole time he had this LA South Central accent. He kept it on all the time. So in his headset, he always had Nipsey Hussle playing, Nipsey this, Nipsey that. So I said, oh yeah, I know Nipsey. I said, Nipsey's my man. He said, you know Nipsey? I said, yeah. I said, I met Nipsey actually in an interesting sort of way. I said, I was trying to do this movie in LA. I actually was hired to do this movie called Crenshaw Boulevard. And it was 2005. And I said, I went out there and met with the producers, and they told me at the time that they had these issues with the Rolling 60s, and they didn't want him to do the movie. And I said, all right, cool. I said, well, let me have a meeting with them and see what the issues are and see if we could salvage it, because it was a great script. So a frat brother of mine grew up with one of the members of the Rolling 60s out in LA. So he set the meeting up at his house. So I come to the meeting and it was 5 of them. It was one of me. But I knew we was good, right? So we had the meeting. It was Big U and a couple other cats. So it became clear in that meeting that no movie was going to be done at all, period. It wasn't even, they came out of respect, but they wasn't trying to have no movie shot over there. But what came out of that was a relationship that I had built with Big U, because he said, yo, I respect the fact that you from New York, right? It's you from New York and you came out here and you didn't just try to just film the movie. You took the time to come and sit with us and talk. He said, yo, I'm having a birthday party for my son on the weekend. Why don't you come to my house and bring your son? And my son was 6 years old at the time, right? He's 21 now. So I go to the house, bring my son. My son were the exact same age at the time. And when I get there, there's this lanky, chilling 19-year-old kid named Nipsey Hussle. So Big U was like, yo, this is my artist, Nipsey Hussle. I'm like, what's up, bro? How you doing? So I'm remembering that, and it made me smile, right? Mm-hmm. So when Daniel Ezra is talking to me about Nipsey was alive, mind you. So I said, oh, that's Nipsey. That's my guy. Like, you know, I go way back from when I first moved out here to LA. When he passed, I cried, right? And it's like, it's very few. And I cried because, A, what he was trying to do. I met him long before he was this big artist. And it just really saddened me. And this, like I cried and then I smiled because I got a chance to actually know this brother. And we had conversations and we kicked it. And we actually at one time lived in the same apartment building for a couple of years in LA and all. So it was like, you know, that was a moment for me that when it happened, I reflected on, damn, dog, you like really knew this kid. You know, like it's out there like that. I didn't go to the funeral at the thing. I went to the funeral home where the family was. I didn't want to go to the big thing. Yep. I wanted to go and say hi, right? So that was one moment. But then another fun moment for me is with DMX again. Another brother going too soon, man. X and me and Little X were in Toronto shooting. I can't remember Donnell Jones video. I'm not sure what we were shooting. But we're walking up Young Street and this car comes racing down the street. And the car does a complete U-turn in the middle of the street through traffic, honking, blocking, and pulls up beside us. The window comes down and we hear, yo, what y'all doing here? And we look and it's X. So we like, yo, what's up? He said, yo, I'm going to my karate training for my movie. Get in, come on in. Now, mind you, everybody knows that DMX was the worst driver in the history. Everybody knows that. So we get in the car and it was a 2-seater. I want to say it was like a coupe, a Benz coupe or a Lexus coupe or something like that. So we get in, I'm sitting in the back. Little X is in the front, DMX is driving. I'm sitting in the back, my knees are up by my chest. And he's eating lunch meat. Now, mind you, I guess they had put him on some sort of diet for the movie and stuff like that. So he's eating turkey meat just out of the thing that he had just gotten from somewhere. So he turns around doing 60 miles an hour to hand me the turkey meat. So I said, yo, dog, yo. I said, yo, nah, I need you to keep your hand on the wheel. Oh, hey, what you scared? I said, yes, pull over. So we pulled over and I got out. I said, yo, let me out. I get out the car. So Little X was getting back in. I said, where you going? He said, I'm getting in the car. I said, no, you're not. Come on. And then X closes the door and takes off. He just leaves. So we wound up meeting him at the place and he was late. When we get there and we had a big laugh about it. He said, you was really scared? I said, yes, I'm not. No, yeah, I was really scared that you was going to crash and kill me. You was going to be all right, but I was going to die in the back seat. No, I'm okay with whatever you call me. I was getting out of that car. And so it's interesting because, you know, when he passed and he was in the hospital for so many days, and I felt sad because he was such an, you know, and so many other times, so many stories with him that were just fun stories I have, right? But it was just like, I didn't, I got sad, but then I laughed, right? Now, mind you, these are two individuals. I only shot a video for DMX one time. I never shot a video for Nipsey Hussle, but the relationships were still there. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
I was an AD on a bunch of X videos early on, but in terms of me being a director and directing them. So this hip hop thing is so much more than just like the transactional relationship that you have with somebody.
No, it really, really is.
You know what I mean? And I only attribute that to God putting people together linking people together and having that, you know. And so, yeah, man, I sit back at times and go, wow, you really like all the names you named of the people who I've directed stuff for, but then the names of folks I just know and have never done anything for and have these relationships with, it just, to me, is just incredible. It's just incredible.
Now that's dope. That's dope. I want to go somewhere different.
Yeah.
Because you spoke about when you moved to Hollywood.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go in a couple of different places. So stay with me for a second.
Okay.
You are adopted by Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Brooklyn, I think movies, film, directors, I think Spike Lee.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about music videos, hip hop. Now let's switch over to film for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Spike Lee's controversial, always has been since he was young.
Mm-hmm.
Did folks like him embrace you? Did the John Singletons of the world embrace you? And I ask you this only because, you know, I'm old enough to remember when there was another director out of Brooklyn, Matty Rich. And Spike pretty much, he's straight out of Brooklyn when I was a kid.
Yeah, I remember that.
Spike pretty much let him have it. His career is going to greener pastures. And even with Tyler Perry, mm-hmm. Spike was openly not a fan of his work.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that the director community is more close-knit in Hollywood or less close-knit? Did you find that these guys who you may have looked up to, now that you're out there and you're trying to get your feet in the game and get established, coming from music videos to film, like what is it like with Black directors out there?
It's interesting. The group of us that come from music videos, and it's myself, Darren Grant, Billy, Senna, X, Chris, that come from music videos are Jeff Bird, that are in television, Millicent Shelton, like that group of people. And I'm going from different eras, of course, mm-hmm. right? But we all are very active in TV directing right now, in movies, mostly TV stuff. There's a tight knit. You know, we talk to each other often. When somebody has a show, somebody will post their show on their Instagram or respond. You know, that is happening. There is like like when I first moved to New York, I was an intern at 40 Acres. There was no synergy between myself and Spike Lee at all. I mean, I was like a locations intern. I wasn't even, you know, in the production part of it. So I wouldn't expect anything like that. But as I got my own name and grew, the respect came with that. You know, he knew, and then, you know, I had to remind him, like, dog, I started with you. Like, and he's like, oh, wow. Like, you know, he put so many people on. The John Singletons of the world, you know, John, I did a video for John with T.I. and the Pimp Squad click for Hustle and Flow with the soundtrack. So John and I have always been pretty cool. The Tupac movie kind of separated our relationship a bit. And a couple things were said in the media, some by me, some by him, you know, and stuff like that. And it's interesting because, you know, you learn quickly that all your business don't need to be out there.
Right.
You know, because like while him and I had and I say it was a small back and forth, but it was still respectful. The same time I would hear something that he would say, and this is before the movie came out. This is him having been let go of the film. I call him. So, you know, my thing was we could call each other and have a discussion. There's no need to be on this radio station and this thing and that thing. And it's like, dude, you John Singleton, like you have a major platform. You've been nominated for an Oscar. Like I look up to you, like you the OG, you know? But at the same time, there has to be a level of respect given to the situation, especially when we have a relationship, right? You can call me, I can call you. So the good thing, and I feel good about before he passed, I actually talked to him. I was on the set of Tales on Irv Gotti's show, and our producer was on the phone with him about another project they were doing. And he was saying, yeah, I'm over here. He said, I'm here with Benny Boom. He said, oh, you with Benny now? I said, yeah. I said, who's that? He said, that's John. I said, yo. I said, tell John what up. I wanted to see what he was going to say. He said, tell Benny Boom. I said, what up? I said, word. He said that. So he put on speaker. I said, what up, man? He said, good. What's up with you? I said, oh, man, I'm chilling, man. You good? Like, yeah, I'm good. You know, blah, 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 blah. I said, all right, man, I love you, man. And he said, I love you back. It's crazy, right?
Wow.
That happened. Because it wasn't, whatever the issue was, he really ain't had no issue with me. It wasn't about me. He had an issue with the situation. I took issue with him having, you know what I mean? So that scenario taught me something. And then he goes and passes, you know? So it was like, it reminded me of how you need to conduct yourself. But it's back to the question though, as far as Black directors, there is a lot of camaraderie. You know, my first movie, Next Day Air, came out in 2009. And the Saturday morning that it came out, I got 2 phone calls. The first one was from Reginald Hudlin, who was like, yo, congrats, man. I'm so glad you got your first film off the ground. This is the first of many. You're about to go do amazing things. And then my brother, F. Gary Gray, called me. You know, and Gary has been a mentor to me for a long time, and he called right after Reginald. So that's that camaraderie. You know, it's there. It's definitely there.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You brought up Reginald Hudlin, and you know, you again just staying in Hollywood for a second.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was coming up, just as a kid, there were very few Black directors in Hollywood. I can think of Robert Townsend, Keenan Ivory
Wayans, yep. Bill Duke, Reginald
Hudlin.
Yeah.
But now there's a new crop, and I love it. But it's still still very small. You know, I think of Ava DuVernay, the F. Gary Grays, Antoine Fuqua's, Ryan Coogler.
Ryan, yeah, you can't forget that kid. He changed it.
He's killing
it. Changed it.
Do you have a positive outlook on the future of Black directors in Hollywood? Because Hollywood has always come across as an old boys club.
It was.
Is that wall breaking down? And how can I forget to mention Tyler Perry?
Tyler, of course.
Tyler Perry is built in Atlanta.
Well, the wall is down forever. And the reason I say that is because the things that have happened, like there's just been an explosion of events that all happened at one time, which is not by accident. We tired in terms of us as a Black community. And I'm going to say Black because I don't want to conflate the issues of other ethnic or nationalities with our issue by saying people of color, because we have a distinction of an issue, because at the end of the day, we were trafficked here and sold into slavery as Black people in this country and built the land that everybody can now come to. And we have given way more than we've gotten as a people. So it has been, you know, we've given so much. We've given our mothers to help raise the children of other people. We've given our men over to wars and unfortunately to the prison system. We've given so much. Those stories are vast and interesting and tell the story of America. But for a long time, we couldn't get those stories told. You know, nobody wanted to hear it. You know, the Underground Railroad and the this and the, they didn't want to hear that. Now we have, you know, there's an appetite for it that extends just us. Like when I put Next Day Air out, the first thing they told us was, you know, there's no foreign market for this film. So, you know, and I'm like, you guys ain't even trying. Like, you know, like we talking about, like, Just going to shut it down like that? Like, yeah, nobody wants to see, we purposefully made a movie. I purposefully made a movie that was like Guy Ritchie for the distinct reason. Like, if you look at that movie, it's like
I know the movie very well.
Guy Ritchie type of movie.
Yep.
We did it like that on purpose because we're like, yo, if they can make Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and everybody love it, and it's a gangster film, we can make a funny gangster film too. And at the same time, in that movie, this is one thing I don't think anybody that doesn't get talked about now. We never used the word nigga in the movie one time.
Wow.
If you go back and watch the movie, there's a lot of cursing in the movie, but we never allowed somebody on the screen to call somebody else a nigga and then shoot them or do something violent to them. Like, we were trying to take that out of our language and out of our sphere of understanding. Well, you could still have something funny, still have something violent, or still have something storytelling like that. And so we decided not to use that word at all. Now, I wish that movie, we could now do that same movie nowadays because we could get international, because people want to see that. You have Netflix, you have all these streaming services. There's so much need for content now that we have to be able to provide stories. They need stories. And I'm going to say it right here. Nobody's got more interesting stories than we have.
Sure.
We have been at the bottom for so long. And the bottom is where creativity comes from. Creativity don't come from the top. Creativity comes from when you don't have, and when you're trying to. You don't have. When we were younger and you got one pair of sneakers every six months or 3 weeks or 3 months or whatever, your cousin told you, yo, if you get a toothbrush and you came to school like you had a new fresh pair.
Yep.
That was because we didn't have, and we got creative. We switched the laces out. We're going to switch the laces colors because that's going to make it look different. That's going to be creative. So now the world is catching up to what we already knew about ourselves, that we are the most creative people on this planet. But we weren't getting the opportunities to do that.
You really do believe that old boys club wall, not only has it been toppled over, but it's gone for good. The era of getting, and let's just call it ethnic films.
Mm-hmm.
I won't limit it to the black experience.
Right.
The hierarchy, the gatekeepers, you feel as though they are more open to stories that are broader than white America, middle America. Really?
Yeah, I think because now we have black executives. You got Broderick Johnson, I think his name. You have black execs all over the place now, which you didn't have 5 years ago.
I remember once being on a lot, and I don't know why I was on this lot or what lot it was. I thought it was. I loved it though. I was out in LA, and I was on one of those lots, and it's like a whole other world in there, like the fake buildings, all of that. Yeah. But there were no black faces, and if they were, they would drive in the golf carts and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think that has all changed. I still find myself sitting in a room when there's a TV show that I'm directing, and I'm the black director, and it might be black cast members, but there's no representation of black in the writers or anything. Even, to be honest with you, even like the grips and electrics, I had talked to a couple of cats out in LA about starting an organization for guys that want to get into business, or women that want to get into business and only be a grip or only be an electric. And I only say only because people have aspirations to direct. But I mean, if you are a craftsman and say, or an electrician and say, yo, I want to do electric work for the movies and collect a pension and have a great life and be able to travel and do all that stuff, that's a career it's a union job. It's a great job to have. It's better than having a bad job or not having a job at all, right? But when you look at those sets, there's a limited amount of us in those situations. So we see the top, we see the Avas and the Tylers and everything and the stuff that's going on and the Ryans, but you go down the tier, it starts to disappear. And then it looks like we making such strides, but until we make strides all the way across the board, it's not going to really mean anything. That's why I'm so happy for Nkechi, who is the writer. She's the showrunner for All American, and she just got another show picked up called All American Homecoming. And this is a Black woman writer that is not scared to tell certain stories the way she wants to tell it, and surround herself with other Black people and people of color that can help tell the narrative. So you go into that writer's room, it's just as many people of color as are white people in there trying to tell our story. That I admire that,
Nah, it's interesting, and I have done our sisters a disservice. But even as you said her name, I'm thinking of Issa Rae.
Issa, come on, yeah.
Lena
Waithe.
Excuse me.
Lena Waithe, the writer.
Exactly. Yep.
Actor. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not just getting a lot of our brothers
right
in the building. There's a lot of our sisters that are really bringing some great storytelling.
Great storytelling.
And her name slips my mind from Scandal. How to Get Away with Murder.
Oh, Kerry Washington.
No. The writer. I'm sure it'll come back.
Yeah. I got COVID brain, man. I had COVID last year. I be forgetting, y'all crazy. I forget stuff. Shonda Rhimes. Shonda Rhimes. There we go. Rhimes, yes.
Before I let you go, you and me, we're in the same age range. Mm-hmm. We have, been part of some amazing historical moments in a period. That I think is going to be unmatched. But I want you to speak to someone who is getting older in their career.
Yeah.
And, you mentioned the Eve Rivera's and you said it's so many young cats coming up under you now.
Mm-hmm.
Some advice that you would get, and it doesn't have to just be in the world of film, video, directing. Just somebody who just getting older, mm-hmm. and you have to find a way to stay relevant. You have to find that you still love the game, mm-hmm. but for the most part, just like you came in at a 20-year-old kid, there's a 19, 20-year-old kid out there right now that's going to be the next one. And
yes,
although Benny Boom is established, they want your spot.
Yeah, they want my spot. I look at it because I'm a big sports fanatic, right? So I look at, you watch these athletes and the Tom Brady's and LeBron Jameses of the world. I mean, look at LeBron James. It's probably a better analogy because he's on the court and he knows he can't do what LeBron 2007, 2008 LeBron James can do physically, but his contribution to the game is unmatched. When he's at his best, they win. When he's not at his best, they don't win. So he understands that he is the game goes where he goes. And so knowing that, he has to figure out, okay, am I going to benefit the team more if I take more shots or if I allow these other people who shoot better than me to take more shots? I'm going to help them take more shots. And if I got to shoot it at the end, I still got that in me. That's how you got to look at, careers and aging. You have to change with the times. And again, going back to what we said, if you don't have a faith-based or any faith in God, then everything is going to always feel like it's not working. It's always going to feel like it's not working. If you haven't taken the time to, give yourself over to Christ and say, I have sinned and I'm asking for forgiveness, and everything what you want me to do is what I'm going to do. And when you do that, it's literally you got blinders on and you being moved around. If you being moved this way, you're not supposed to move that way because he's moving you that way. So if you don't have that, a lot of things are always going to feel like they're not correct. the other part of it, when you do have that, it still may feel like it's not right. However, the difference is you have faith now. So you know that it's being done for a reason and that there is a reason for it to happen. You didn't get that job, so you feel upset about it, but you shake that right off and be like, you know why I didn't get that job? Because XYZ. Quick thing before we jump. There's a show called Lucifer.
Yeah.
Right. So I had gotten a call to my agents to do Lucifer. So I was like, I can't do that show. Are you kidding me? Now, I'm not knocking the people that's on it or direct. For me, I can't openly, and I'm not saying everything we do is edifying God, but you go into a show where you're normalizing the devil and he's the main character of the show, and it's supposed to be kiki and funny, haha, and he's supposed to, I can't do that. So I turned the show down. I get 2 other TV shows, and then I wound up doing All American. I go to the office. All American was on the Warner Brothers lot. I go upstairs. I have my backpack. I was like, oh, let me see where. Oh, it's over here. I walk down the hall. Before I get there, the office that was right next to it was the Lucifer office.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah. So it's like you know, like you understand what I'm trying to say. Like,
absolutely.
I still was able to work and to my craft, but that was a test. And walking past that office was like, see, I just want to show you, like, you turn that down. Not to say, listen, everybody got to make their own decisions in life. And it may have been the right decision for other people. This is for me and where I am with mine. I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I said, you know, it would have been great to do it. It was Netflix. I think it was still NBC at the time before he went to Netflix. I said, nah, I can't do that. That one. Nope.
you know, number one, I commend you. And these are the conversations I love to have. And I really try to use this platform as often as humanly possible, because I don't run away from my faith. I don't run away from you. I mean, you could be born with all of the talent, all of the gifts in the world, but
right.
If you think this thing is about you, you're fooling yourself. Like, I'm telling you that. So when I hear a man of your accomplishments acknowledge, you gotta have faith. Whoever your God is, whoever you pray to, your steps. I know you think that it's you making these moves, but these are ordained by something on high.
Yep.
And I love that you, and it's a perfect place for us to wrap this thing. For anybody who is watching or listening to this on podcast form, don't think for a minute you're going to get to your destination by yourself.
Nope.
Do not think you're going to get there without tests, without trials. And in one way, shape, or form, you're going to have to make a decision.
You got to make a decision. Yeah.
You're going to have to. So, Benny, I appreciate you even dropping that last piece in there, because it's necessary. And I think that, you know, I have been up, I've been down, I have been on an amazing ride. But I can tell you this much, looking over my life, it is nothing but God who has ordained every step. And it's just God's honest truth. They say hindsight is 20/20. Hindsight has prepared me for what's in front of me, because it doesn't matter what happened now. I got faith. I already know that this must be for the ultimate setup.
That's it.
That's it, man. I thank you, Benny. Where can my audience find you? I'm
on Benny Boom on Instagram, and then what's my Twitter? Oh, Super Boom on Twitter. I haven't been able to switch that yet. I got to call somebody so it could be consistent all the way through. Yeah.
Are you mostly active on IG?
Yeah, I'm active. I'm active on both. You know, I like to you know, I post a lot of family things, some work things on IG. And Twitter is like, you know, I might go crazy on the sports on Twitter, like, you know, like post stuff about my Sixers or my Eagles or something like that on there and stuff. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, I thank you so much for sharing your willingness to educate and to help somebody out there who wants to be the next Benny Boom. I think that, you know, the gems you dropped, they're invaluable. Insight and your perspective and the wisdom that you have at this time in your life. I think that somebody is going to ingest this information, and it's going to be
Hope so.
That thing that gets them to the next level. So I wish you continued success. I love what you're doing. Continue being that power move maker that you have been for 20 plus years.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
My brother, you be good, Benny, and we will speak soon.
Yes, sir. Peace, man.
One. What's up, guys? Thanks for sticking with me to the end of the video. Truly appreciate you. If you like anything you heard here today, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you know anybody that can benefit from this message, feel free to share. Peace and love.